So now, in this video, I wanted to take a look at the S9018 transistor that you can see right there, and I'm going to kind of compare it with the 2N2222, and this is the 2N2222A, which means it's a slightly enhanced version of the 2N2222. But in any case, a little backstory to this video. I have this transistor kit that I bought, a whole bunch of transistors right there. We'll zoom back and try not to tip this so they all dump out, but I just bought a transistor kit when I first started learning transistors more seriously, and so I want to kind of go through all these, get a feel for their properties. And so today I decided to go to the very end, S9018. That is why we are looking at that component in this video. So now, the S9018 here, that is an NPN bipolar junction transistor, as is the 2N2222. So to begin with, they're both NPN, so that's nice. They also both have the same pin layout, and so this circuit, I can yank one out and put the other one in, and vice versa. I actually found this circuit trying to find a circuit for the S9018, and I didn't realize I just kind of stumbled across a general oscillator circuit, not one specifically designed for this transistor, but it is going to work with either of these transistors. That's the main takeaway for this video, is that bipolar junction transistors, you can probably swap them out pretty freely with circuits. Now, the biggest thing I noticed with the S9018 was the collector current. And so the current to the base and the emitter, and then you got current from collector to emitter. So emitter passes both current, but generally you keep base current really low. This is a magnetic screwdriver. Normally you keep the base to emitter current extremely low, so the main current you want to keep an eye on is the collector current, because that tends to be higher. That can only go to 50 milliamps according to the data sheets I found for the S9018, whereas the 2N2222 is, I found 600 milliamps and also 800 milliamps. So I would keep it under 600 milliamps. I think it depends maybe on the manufacturer that made the particular one that you are using. So in any case, this can handle at least 10 times as much current at the collector, the 2N2222, as the S9080. So the circuit I got here, this is an oscillator circuit. So as I just said, the current handling capability is much lower for the S9018. And so the emitter is going down the bottom. We're not going to look at this circuit too closely, the physical layout of it. I'll try to link the diagram that I got it from in the description of the video, where exactly I found it. So I thought that circuit was made for this particular transistor. I was kind of rushed. I had to leave, and then I had trouble finding that diagram again when I got back, and so I finally did find it though. But in case, we have it in there. I'm going to turn, or the bench power supply is already on, so it's on at 9 volts. So for this one, this is going to be faster than flashing lights. And let's turn the overhead light off. That's reflecting. So this is going to go faster than flashing lights. This is going to really push the limits of this oscilloscope. So to make a circuit to better demonstrate that component, I would need a better oscilloscope. And so I just told you the power handling capabilities, the current is much lower for the S9018 than the 2N2222. That tells me that it can switch a lot faster. And so on the data sheet for the 2N2222, what is it called? The current gain bandwidth product is 300 megahertz, and that is at 20 volts and 20 milliamps through the collector. So that's for the 2N2222. The S9018 current gain bandwidth product is 1100 megahertz, so a gigahertz, a little bit over a gigahertz at 5 volts and 5 milliamps. So that tells me this one can turn on and off quite a bit faster than the S9018, than the 2N2222. But I'm not an expert and I don't have equipment to test that out. But we can look at this meter. So to begin with, we're going to measure what we can with this meter, which can measure the circuit exactly as I found it, but just barely. So we turned it on, and it has kind of its preset settings. The channel A spot here, I had a probe in there and the wire broke off in there. I don't know if that caused any damage over time. I had been wiggling it around, so I just stick it into B now. So most of the settings want to measure A still, but we're going to switch them to B. So let's go over here. You can see that this is blue, and so that is frequency. It is blue. Let's hit M, and that's because it's channel A. If we turn it to channel B, looks like if we tilt it this way, that works good. So we put it to B, you see it turned yellow. And so we can do that with everything we want to set yellow. But unfortunately, let's hit M again. I think even when we set it to a yellow, it doesn't show most of the numbers. But we'll see what we come up with. So I've only done this a few times now. So now let's go back. And so yeah, you slide through the pages by sliding across there. And so the channel B, we got 2 volts per division. We're dealing with 9 volts, so that will work nicely. Let's go down to oh, we are at time base, so let us, there we go, let's shorten that time base to 1 microsecond. And that, there we go, 1 microsecond, that is per each division there. And so now I wired the circuit as an oscillator. The negative side here, whatever this called the ground, whatever it is for the oscilloscope is there, and on the other end we got the probe here. So I go up to the collector, that is where the oscillator output is, and there you can see it up on top there. So we want to move that down. We'll go up to the channel B area, hit M, and go to post, and that should lower it, I believe. Let's oh yeah, let's post. Yeah, that goes up, that one goes down. So I figured, since there's not too much to this video, just me kind of experimenting, I thought I would test out the multimeter here thing. And unfortunately it gets your fingerprints on there. I can wash my hands, scrub them really well, and maybe it's the lotion in the soap or something, but you get fingerprints on this. And I try to turn the light, as you can see. If you make videos, how you have the light makes a huge difference, as you can see there. So in any case, we have that, and we could also just set it to AC, and then it will move to the line and hold to the line. So it's looking at the change in voltage, going one way and then the other, and it's centering it on the line there. So with DC, you'd want it up there, but again, you don't see the waveform as nicely. And with AC, it smooths out the waveform that way. So we might as well, that looks a whole lot better, so I'm going to move it back up. But yeah, I'm not an expert on oscilloscopes or anything, but some of the research I've been doing on oscilloscopes, they said that one of the sources said that the difference between somebody that knows how to use an oscilloscope well versus someone that doesn't is by how much time they spent using them. So I believe that. So in any case, there you can see, there is the output. And each square, as I said, each division is 1 millisecond. So I don't think that's showing up too well. Maybe it will in editing, but in any case, okay, we do have a frequency on there. That's nice. I wasn't getting that before for whatever reason. It's a little less than 250 kilohertz. And so, as I said before, the time base is 1 microsecond per division. And so we go to the bottom of this one here. You can kind of see there's a square 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So it's 4 microseconds between each peak. Or if you went up to where the wave starts, so it goes down and then up and then back halfway down, again, that's 4 squares, 4 microseconds. And so in any case, that is the S9018. Now it's an NPN bipolar junction transistor. With this circuit, we're not even in the megahertz range, so it should be no surprise. We can just plop in the 2N2222, and there you can see the exact same waveform. So it is keeping up, and it's a little jittery, so I'm using the bench power supply, and I found before the 555 timer had trouble working with it until I added a smoothing capacitor, and that may be the wrong term for it with this, but we'll add that to the rail, and if I can find a nice spot that doesn't block the video we're making. But there we go. Let's go here. So we already swapped the transistor. Now let's see if we get a little smoother waveform. And no, looks like it's about as jittery for whatever reason. So, in any case, we don't have to worry about that. That's good. The only circuit I've had now, I think it was a 555 timer, that I had a problem with this power supply was, I believe, the 555 timer. So otherwise, where I had to add a capacitor to keep the voltage. But the 555 timer looks at the voltage at the rail and takes 1/3 of that voltage and 2/3 of that voltage and does stuff based on a capacitor reaching those voltages. So if that's bouncing around, you could see why that could screw stuff up. But in any case, that's really about it for this circuit. When it comes to transistors, in this case NPN bipolar junction transistors, you'll come across circuits you want to make, and you'll see the schematic diagram for it, and it will usually give you a part number. So this is the S9018, and somebody may use that. So as I said before, it has the same, I might as well turn off the bench power supply. It has the same pin layout. It is, the left pin is the emitter, middle pin is the base, and right pin is the collector. I found that out by finding the data sheet, and it showed a picture or a drawing of the component, and then usually it numbers 1, 2, 3, and then somewhere else it will either say emitter, base, collector, or it'll say 1 emitter, 2 base, 3 collector. And in any case, it's the same pin layout as the 2N2222. So I just yanked one out, and I could just put the other one back in. And also, so for the frequency, both of these handled it extremely easy. This is way below their rated values, but unfortunately it's the about the slowest frequency that I can measure with this oscilloscope. So I can go up to about 1 megahertz, and that would give you one wave across there at 1 microsecond per division. So we are or no, it'd be 1 wave per division there if we could get to 1 megahertz. So for each division we'd have a waveform, and as you saw with this one, we had 4 squares per waveform. So this is really getting close, this circuit, to the limit of what my oscilloscope can measure, this cheap one. So I will try to get a better one someday, but they cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. so it's going to be a while. But in any case, usually if you see a transistor and it's not one that you have, you know, look at the data sheet and first off see how much current's going through. Make sure the transistors that you do have can handle the current. And so this one is the lowest one I came across, I think. The S9018 current wise of 50 milliamps of current. So if you're looking at 50 milliamps of current, apparently there is transistors that are sensitive to that. That's not even all that much current. Whereas the 2N2222 can handle about 600 milliamps of current, maybe 800 milliamps of current. So about 10 times as much. And the frequency, though, it looks like you can get the S9018 to turn on and off probably like 3 or 4 times as fast. And so you don't get all the numbers of those. I would rather test them out, but I can't with the equipment I got. So in any case, hopefully someday. So I hope you still found that interesting, and I got this all in one shot, so that's pretty good. To turn this off, you hold down the power button, and then you can press the play pause to fully turn it off. That's normally what I do. There's other settings, and that way, when I turn it off that way and then turn it back on, it goes back to settings that it normally does. And I think there's ways to turn it off. I think you can do like sleep or something, where you keep your setting, but you turn it off completely like I just did. Now it is all back to where it was before. So the main thing you may notice, we set page 2 so that, let's see if I can get that to show up. You can see they're blue again. So that is the channel A, and I use channel B because, as I said, I don't know if I damaged that or not. So I bought a new probe, I put it into B, and I just leave it like that. So in any case, they went back to blue. We would have to make our settings so they're channel A. We would have to go back through and set it to B now because we turned it off and back on. But that's what I like. I like to start at the same spot. And so in any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.